President Biden is backing his defense secretary despite calls for him to resign over a mysterious hospital stay. It was reported that Secretary Lloyd Austin was in intensive care for 3 days while nobody told the president or even the deputy who took over Austin's duties.
70-year-old Secretary Austin was rushed to the intensive care unit in an ambulance on New Year's Day, suffering a complication from an elective medical procedure he had on December 22nd. The next day, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Austin's chief of staff, and his spokesman all knew about the hospitalization. But no one told Austin's deputy, who had assumed his duties, the White House chief of staff or the national security advisor, until 2 days later when President Biden was finally informed.
However desirous he may be about preserving his zone of privacy, we cannot have him making those kinds of decisions at the risk of the United States being caught short in some kind of international or national security crisis.
The defense secretary's authority over armed forces is only second to the commander-in-chief's, and his role in the National Security Council is critical.
What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I am your host, G11, and this is the Homie Talk Podcast. First of all, happy 2024. It's a new year, and we are already in the shit. For lack of a better term, right? Dang, there goes demonetization. Well, here's the thing, guys. I want to talk to you guys about the Secretary of Defense debacle that's been unfolding over the past week, okay? And the reason why I personally want to talk about this is because I am, for those of you who don't know, still currently serving on active duty in the United States Air Force. And I've seen what this individual's policies have done that have directly affected the force, all right? So I thought this thing was very interesting that's been unfolding with this individual, okay? First off, you guys saw the video that played in the beginning of this, and it gives you a background of what's going on, right? Basically, SECDEF was missing for a few days. Now, to give you a reason why that's kind of crazy, that the whole Secretary of Defense of the United States was just missing for a few days, like why that's important, is because think about it like this. You have the President of the United States at the top of the totem, right? Right next to him, you have the National Security Advisor, and you have the National Security Council, right? They directly advise the president on what's going on. Right underneath of that is SECDEF, okay? Right under that is SECDEF. And he literally, second to the commander-in-chief or the president, makes decisions that directly affect military. He directly affects policy that goes out across all the branches. He directly determines where missions, where we're going across the globe, and he has a lot of confidential information within. Okay, so for him to be missing someone that high up in the totem, that important, for nobody to know where he is in the White House for about 4 days is problematic. Now, I'll tell you what, if this were an individual, say at my rank, right, I'm an E6 in the Air Force, that is a tech sergeant. If I go missing for 5 minutes, it's a problem. And I'm probably going to get AWOL'd and, and possibly sent to jail if they figured out, that I was hiding or something like that if I ran away. So why is this any different? Well, let's bust into the article and see what's going on with this. All right, hopefully you guys can see that. This is courtesy of the New York Post. They literally just cover everything, so we're going to borrow it from here. So, Lloyd Austin, cancer chicanery shows White House can't be trusted on Biden's health. So, disclaimer, I don't know if the New York Post is one-sided or the other, right? But they're probably going to tie this into how, they're probably going to say how the current president is unfit because of mental and physical conditions. Now, granted, we've seen over the past couple of years, the current president has had issues, with walking. Kind of seems like he has a cognitive decline here and there. It doesn't always seem there. So they're probably going to talk about that, but let's get into it. All right. So the article says, if we can't trust the Biden administration to reveal that the defense secretary has cancer, granted, that's why Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin was in the hospital. I guess he had treatment for prostate cancer back in December, and it ended up having him go into the hospital early, New Year's Day or something like that. Now of all times, as the Mideast burns, the Ukraine war rages, and China threatens, how can we trust the White House on more important questions? And that's a very valid question, actually. Like, say, accurate health news about an 81-year-old president in obvious mental and physical decline during an election year. And that's right, 2024 is an election year. Donald Trump is trying to get back on the ballot. You got the different states trying to block him, and I'm not saying I'm leaning one way or the other, but there is an obvious problem here, okay? Um, yes, House Armed Services Committee Chair Mike Rogers' probe into Lloyd Austin's cancer chicanery is beyond justified. The American people need an accounting from Austin of exactly what he was doing from his hospital bed and what on earth he was thinking when he decided to conceal his medical issues. So that's the first problem right there. To me, not the fact that he concealed the cancer, but the fact that he didn't tell anyone within his chain, outside of maybe I think one person, which we'll get to that. He didn't inform anyone that what was going on. I would think I think if he would have a direct line to the president, or at least some way to communicate that to his cabinet, that, hey, I got some serious business going on. I'm gonna be out for a little bit, type situation. Okay. And it's right. The American people need to know what's going on, because this directly affects y'all's defense. You know what I mean? This is a big issue. You guys need to know you're protected. All right. So they also need an accounting from the administration of why it would cooperate with such clumsy dishonesty. And I agree with that. If the stakes weren't deadly high enough to invite global disaster, the Austin affair would be a comedy of errors. The man ended up in Walter Reed. It's kind of funny reading this. You could tell somebody was angry as they were typing this thing, typing away. The man ended up in Walter Reed after complications from a prostate cancer procedure in December led to his hospitalization earlier this month. The deputy drafted to cover for him apparently had no idea what was going on, as she was on vacation in Puerto Rico. That is also problematic. So you have the SECDEF, he's in the hospital for complications, and his deputy is out on vacation in Puerto Rico. So then who's the next person in the line, right? That's the issue, because you have two people directly in charge, of this specific thing, right? Of this specific job, and both were indisposed of. And the one person, the very next person he should have told outside the president, his deputy, didn't even know. That'd probably be important information to get out. So she only found out about her boss's hospitalization a day before the public did. So when it came out, she only had just found out, right? Now, Biden, who should have demanded Austin's resignation the instant it became clear that the man was hiding the truth, is instead letting him remain in his position. And I think we know why, right? This is a campaign year. You have certain optics you want to keep, and let's just be real. Let's be honest about this conversation. It's probably going to be not a good optic to fire the first black Secretary of Defense. I'm just being honest, right? Because certain networks, certain people, certain demographics are going to view it that way. Why did he get fired? But then on the opposite side of that, people are going to ask, and rightly so, why are you not holding him accountable, right? Why is he able to just disappear, not be held accountable for what he did, and continue on as nothing happened? Two sides of the coin, right? So, as bad as Austin's dereliction was, Biden's is even worse, the article says. Either he's okay with potentially disastrous disruption of the chain of command, even as U.S. service members are drawing combat pay in the Middle East, among other crises, or he really is too senile to notice what his military number two goes AWOL. There's that. AWOL means absent without leave. Okay. How can the man the American public entrusted with defending the country from all enemies, foreign and domestic, possibly do that if he won't fire untrustworthy underlings? Secretary Austin and President Biden both owe the public complete transparency on issues like this. And therein is the heart of this debate, this debacle, right? The American people do deserve to know what's going on with their chain of command, with those who are entrusted with making decisions with that, for the best interests of this country, right? And if we can't get that, if people can just go missing in those high positions, right? Those very high confidential, high importance positions, right? Imagine the president just disappearing for 4 days and nobody knowing where the hell he's at. That would be problematic, right? That is literally the head in the face of our country. If the president is just gone, we got a problem. Okay. So I don't know, guys. Like I said, from the military view as a service member currently, right, I think it is problematic because if this were anybody else, if you look at regular Joe Schmo, you take a Joe, you take an airman, you take a Marine, you take a sailor, any position. If we go missing for 4 days, we're not on leave, we're just gone. Nobody knows where we're at. They find out we're in the hospital. Well, I mean, within the first day, there's going to be concern. Within the second day, they're probably going to think we're AWOL. And then it's a whole different type of conversation. All right. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'm very interested to get the conversation started. If any service members are watching, let me know what you think. Let's be respectful down in the comments. But yeah, tell it like it is, right? We'll see you guys on the next one. More content like this. Hit like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Until then, I'm out of here.